Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of the MVP Fantasy Football and Sports Podcast. My name's Tyler Johnson, and with me as always is Ryan Elke. I know that last week was a busy week for the both of us. I was gone all week due to Disney World. I had a week-long vacation. I haven't had that many days off in I don't know how long. So I had a whole week in Disney World, and it felt like it flew by. And so did all the news that is happening in the NFL right now, along with the preseason games. It just seeing players on the field. I'm at the airport, and I'm watching the game yesterday, and it just looks great to see football on TV. I didn't know if you caught the game yesterday, Ryan, or not.
No, I did not. I was pretty busy yesterday as well. I was busy through the weekend, honestly. Like it's been pretty hectic. Yeah, dude, you were just talking about how fast the time went when you were on vacation and you were off work for 5 days, but you literally blink and you wake up and you're going back. You know what I mean? It's like, what the hell? Yeah,
I flew in there and then I'm flying back, and I had some long flights also, but that whole week was crazy. We hit up all the resorts, all the attractions. I mean, we were just flying through lines at Disney World. And some of those wait times for those rides are insane. I know one of them was like 3 hours long. I think that was for like the Tower of Terror or one of the roller coasters. But we had some fast passes, and we had the hookups for down there. So we had a great time in Florida. It was hot, rainy, and I was just excited to get home and get back in bed. So we all know that feeling when you're gone for so long. The feel of your own bed is and
that's how it was for me with Vegas, dude. And I wasn't even there that long. So I know what you mean.
So let's make up with getting into the news here.
So you got any advice for me? Generally.
Talking about Antonio Brown. I know everyone wants to hear more about Antonio Brown and his helmet situation.
Do we really want to hear more about Antonio Brown?
Man, I'm sick of it.
Because me personally, I'm so sick of hearing his name.
Dude, talk about somebody that the Steelers are happy is away from their camp right now. I mean, seriously.
For sure. They got to be joyous, man. They got to be living life over there.
So
Bell and Brown are gone. It's just like, it's got to be a good vibe over there.
And it's surprising because you're so used to hearing Bell's name all the time. I haven't heard Le'Veon Bell's name, I don't think once so far this whole preseason. Nobody's really talking about him. He's not in the news that often. And then now you have Antonio Brown with his feet and now his helmet. He's in practice. He's away from practice. I mean, even the Raiders came out and said, I don't know if he's here. If he's not, we're just going to keep moving on. And
yeah.
So I guess we'll just keep an eye on what Antonio Brown's plan is. But not getting reps with Derek Carr is not good for the team.
Dude, I could already tell it was going to be a joke when he came in on a hot air balloon. Like, what are you doing, dude? Why does he always have to make a scene?
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the type of players I wouldn't really want on my team, man. It's like, it's about the team, not you. And Antonio Brown lately has been making it about himself. So this is like impromptu off the top of my head right now. It's just kind of frustrating, but Antonio Brown, literally, I'm not touching him in fantasy football. Unless he fell to me like the 4th round, which everyone knows that ain't going to happen. But if there, I would contemplate it. But other than that, I'm not touching the guy. I don't want him on my team, even on my fantasy team, because there's so many factors that can go on with this guy. So what if they start 1-7 and he gets all fed up, he's pissed about the helmet, pissed about the team, and he just said, screw it, I'm walking away. Because remember that interview he had? He said he didn't need the game of football. He doesn't need this. He doesn't need that. He's good without it. And if he's not having fun, I could just see him saying, screw this, I'm out. And
in his attitude,
it's just like worst case scenario right there, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. So it's kind of worrisome.
No, I see that totally. And his attitude towards the game, I mean, he's going at the end of the 2nd, early 3rd right now, and even that around kind of guys like Brandon Cooks, and I'm trying to think of who else.
Diggs and all them. I feel all around that area.
And maybe just go with somebody a little bit safer. Grab somebody from the Rams offense, one of their wide receivers, I think might be even a better choice over. I mean, you're looking for that high flyer that Antonio Brown has always been, but we've never seen him on a new team, and we've never seen him. I mean, he hasn't even gotten practice. Him and Big Ben had a connection, and that's why they were so good. I mean, I don't see him going
Tyler, dude, I've been saying that forever. I just hope part of me wants to be right because Antonio Brown, I always said he was a product of like Ben Roethlisberger and the chemistry.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Yes, he's still like a top 10 talent, I believe that, but like when I mention to people, like he's not in my top 5 receivers, and this is like last year and the year before, people would be like, well, how not? It's just like I just there's other guys I'd rather have.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll keep an eye out for all the news here. There's a lot of ongoing news, and we're gonna do the wide receivers first, running backs, and then the rest of the positions after. So we're gonna get into our next one. Keenan Allen, he suffered an ankle injury, but they said that it wasn't considered serious. They're going to have him sit out probably the rest of the 3 preseason games. And I don't know. I just see Keenan Allen. A lot of people are scared of his injury risk, and really there's not risk. He just had one bad injury that kept him sidelined a few years ago. He played a full season. Did he play a full season last year? I'm trying to remember, but
No, he got hurt and missed. I think he missed the game, and he gave me a goose egg in the fantasy playoffs. So he is injury. Didn't he like rupture his spleen or something his first year?
Yeah,
which is a pretty bad injury, and then he tore his ACL. Obviously, that's kind of fluky. And then he's had a little nagging injuries here and there.
But I mean, you're talking about a guy who, okay, now he kind of suffers a small ankle injury. He's going into the season. Do I bump him down? I'm trying to think of. He's kind of in that same range as Antonio Brown at the end of the second, early third. And all my mock drafts, I know I was picking him up as much as I could when it went around to that 3rd round pick. But I don't know. I could see him maybe falling into the later 3rd. And if he makes it into the early 4th, that might be a great pickup for anyone at the end of the 3rd round there.
Oh, man. I feel like if he fell into the 4th somehow, some way, that's automatic. You take that little bit of risk that comes with him. Yeah. I know he has the ankle injury, and they said there's also a knee injury. And that's kind of concerning right now. And I just feel, man, I love Keenan Allen. I do. And I would love to have him on my team, but this is already too early for me to see this stuff. He's already got injuries piling up. I know there's not nothing major, but what's going to happen in the regular season?
And he, right now, being at the early 3rd, he goes right after the Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, and then on the turn, would you rather have Keenan Allen with kind of these nagging injuries, or we have Adam Thielen, T.Y. Hilton, Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, and Brandon Cooks? Would you put anyone in front of Keenan Allen from that group?
Honestly, out of that group, no. But if it's like Antonio Brown in that group, I'll take every one of them guys instead of Antonio Brown.
Okay, so Antonio Brown's going to fall
Keenan Allen
would
head that group. Honestly.
Okay,
like I couldn't pass that.
So he's kind of in the right spot then still, and yeah, I guess if he comes back week 1 and he's fresh, he's going to be a great pickup if you can get him later than where he's going right now. So moving on to another one. I know he wasn't too hyped, but DK Metcalf, the towering man that he is, the 12-pack that he carries.
The 12-pack.
He's having knee surgery, and but then they say they don't think he'll be out long. So I wonder if this knee surgery is just kind of something small, something getting worked on, maybe a tweak. Of course, Pete Carroll saying that it's hard to even listen to Pete Carroll because he just hypes up and he just talks out of his ass, to say the least.
Exactly. Don't listen to anything that guy says. But DK Metcalf, I mean, he had a surgery on his knee. How is this guy going to be ready for week 1, whether it's minor or not?
Oh, okay. So it says needs knee surgery. So, I mean, I'm guessing it's going to happen, but Pete Carroll saying he's not going to be out long, it only makes like a bell go off in my head saying, okay, he's going to be out for a long time.
That probably means he's missing half the season. He's starting on the PUP list. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it means.
But I don't think any of us were drafting him, and when it comes to Dynasty, I was going to say, when it comes to Dynasty, you can pick him up later. And his stock will probably fall after that news. So you're not taking him for a this year production anyway. Possibly. But for me, I would not even touch him, especially in redraft. So
in redraft, I think he's worth a late round flyer at this point.
Yeah, possibly. And you think that bumps up Tyler Lockett then, or bumps up anyone? So
it bumps up. Lockett would probably get a bump.
Okay, well, let's move on to
see more targets.
Let's move on to a guy that Ryan recently just reignited his trading spree. We got Josh Gordon, who has been reinstated in.
I got some fire. I got some weapons to work with.
Week 1, and we have a great question later on. And just so everyone knows, we're doing the news and questions. It's going to be kind of quicker this time. We want to get out to the community, answer a bunch of questions, and then we're going to do a second episode. I guess I should have said this beforehand. We're going to be doing a second episode this week, and then from here on out, we're doing 2 episodes, along with our rankings being in the show notes. So make sure you check out the rankings, use them during your draft, and it's going to be just a great tier list and a great ranking sheet for free. Just let you guys know what our thoughts are. It's going to have both mine and Ryan's, and we have all of these guys, plus I'm pretty sure we going all the way down to close to 200 or 300 players, so it's going to be enough for your draft. Check them out, and then also we're going to reach out to everyone that we answered the questions for. So Josh Gordon, Ryan, let's just hear what your thoughts are after hearing the news of him being reinstated.
Josh Gordon, he's 28 years old. He's in the prime of it. He should be like as a prime wide receiver. He's not with the best quarterback, I don't think. His arm strength is not the best, but he's still going to get – dude, he could be a wide receiver too in fantasy football, and he needs to be drafted within probably, the top 8 rounds? Where are you thinking on where he gets drafted? After the ADP, settles down, where do you think he lands?
I guarantee you he's
going to
get pushed
on the spot here, but
he's going to get pushed all the way up to, I bet you, the 5th round. I bet you he's drafted right around,
5-6, yeah.
Yeah, 5-6, right around Tyler Boyd and Robbie Anderson. I think he's right in that area, and people are going to hype him up because of last year's.
Do you believe he's in that area? Do you think he can bring that value back, or do you think he's overhyped?
I think that I would take him in the 7th, 8th. I would take him right around Will Fuller, and when you start taking more of the 2s that are for sure the 2s on their team, like Jarvis Landry, Alshon Jeffrey. Robbie Anderson, you, right in that area is where I'm going to put him on my rankings. What do you think?
Yeah, I can probably agree with you, and I do like Josh Gordon. The crazy thing is with this guy, he hasn't really done anything since 2014, but every time his name is brought up, this guy's like gold. You can get so much stuff from him. Last year, he got traded 4 times in our league, and it wasn't for scraps. This guy got traded for pretty decent players.
I traded for him in our last
Yeah, you did too. I traded for him. I traded him away. He got traded multiple times. And in multiple leagues, dude. Multiple leagues. I traded AJ Green and Josh Gordon for Odell and TY in a just a regular pro league on Yahoo. And someone did it, so
what a snag.
It was a steal, yeah. His name alone just brings massive trade value. It's crazy. I have him in Dynasty. Kind of fielding offers, trying to see what I can get. At this point in Dynasty, I don't know if I don't even know where to judge his value, especially in Dynasty because I'm fairly new. I threw him out there for a 2nd-round pick, and I just feel like a team that's going for it this year, I don't know how someone doesn't offer that to me.
Yeah, and you want to know what? Looking at the rankings here, a lot of people are thinking he's going to be a wide receiver too. So that just backs up your trade conversation when you're talking to people. I mean, if you're looking at the rankings or looking at the this poll that they put up, wide receiver 2 is probably 50% almost. So if you get 50% of your league thinking that he's a wide receiver 2, you're gonna get some good. You're gonna get some good offers. You pair Gordon up with a running back, like a running back 2, and try to upgrade that to a running back 1, or do the exact opposite. Try upgrading to a wide receiver 1. I mean, that's what you use them for right now. Nobody knows it, and they're just going off the hype, like Ryan said. They're going to post that one picture of him looking just absolutely ripped out of his mind, and then you just go out and get all those trades.
Yeah, so. I haven't fielded too many offers for him. One offer I offered up and was shot down instantly, which to me, I thought it was fair, but you know how my value kind of trades. I kind of try to get the best of someone, but I want to know your honest opinion on this trade. So I offered in Dynasty Josh Gordon for Andy Isabella.
Josh Gordon for Andy Isabella. I mean, you're going for the future, and you're kind of trading away Gordon, who is, like you said, a little bit later in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I'm looking at my roster, I would probably take Gordon if I was. I already had the young guys, and I'm more prone to wanting to get those points and get that. Probably Gordon in my flex. I would take that trade.
And the guy I offered it to, he's deep at running back and actually needs receivers. It was Frank that I offered it to, and he literally instantly declined me. He's like, no way.
And I think too though it's also players being you'll run into those players that are a little shy when it comes to trading, especially.
I guess it didn't help. Isabella just caught like a 54-yard touchdown in the preseason game, and he noticed it. He's like, "Oh, yeah." I'm like, "Damn it!" Of course.
Well, and then that's kind of the same as like all the Darwin Thompson owners when they're hearing all this news. It gets you really standoffish when it comes to trades because you want to sit and see what you have with them. But sometimes you have to take those risks when you have these players. I mean,
I've been trying to pluck Thompson off you for the past week, and it's not happening.
I mean, you offered Gordon for Thompson.
Yeah, and I did.
In my head, it's like
I thought it was pretty fair, but you shot that down right away.
It's still a good deal, and I'm not just talking over this podcast. It's a good deal, and looking at it, I mean, I could have Darwin Thompson as in my head, possibly the straight up backup, the RB2 on Kansas City, and if, let's say, Williams' health goes south, I mean, I could have a running back 1 for many years to come if they use him that way.
Possible.
Or I could have the running back 3 rookie who flashes and then all of a sudden just goes behind both Williams, and I should have did that trade.
Goes behind Williams and Hyde, and then you're like, damn, maybe I should have did that.
So, I mean, those are the predicaments you're in, and you don't want to be sitting there making the wrong decision, but maybe it takes a decision
exactly, Tyler. And I'm not saying I'm even right to do it. You know, it could backfire on me big time, but when it comes to trades, I tend to be really risky compared to a lot of other guys. I'm not a conservative trader. Let's do it. Let's wheel and deal, baby. Because if I mess up, I'll recoup it in the next one. Like that's my mind. That's my mindset on it. So you're more conservative though. So I can see thinking it through and whatever. But I mean, I thought because trading with you, I know I'm not going to get over on you. So I mean, I sent out a couple crappy deals early in the season. And you instantly blocked my number, but I felt like coming after Tom's or with Darwin, I was like, I'll offer him something that's pretty fair.
Yeah. So and I looked at it and I saw the one you canceled, and it's almost like I looked at it and I almost thought about sending it back to you, but at the time I couldn't. I was in front of my computer, but Josh Gordon is going to be a good player if he's on the field, and it's just taking that chance. So I guess we'll monitor him going into week 1, how they're going to use him. I mean, the wide receiver core there, the rookie, didn't he just get hurt? I think he injury to
Harry. Doesn't he need surgery? I could be totally wrong here, but I swear he needed like a minor knee procedure.
Yeah, I remember hearing something where there was an injury to him. And it's almost opening up the way for Josh Gordon. And like you said, too, though, Tom Brady throwing the ball to him, he's a deep threat. And his average depth of target was like 20+ when he was playing. I think it was like high 20s. And, I mean, you're talking about Tom Brady, who is he still have it? Of course he's going to throw it to Edelman short. Is he got the deep ball for Gordon? I don't know. So just kind of a knock on Gordon as well. We'll move on. We'll talk about Josh Gordon again probably later this week. There's going to be more news that comes out with him. I want to go to the Zeke news. So we're talking about Antonio Brown, him pulling the whole Antonio Brown. You got Melvin Gordon and now Zeke. Kind of a funny situation where Jerry Jones mentioned the Zeke who, and now Zeke and his agent are coming out saying that wasn't too funny. It seems like they're just irking them and irking Zeke to just not play. And that's just a scary situation when it comes to your starting running back who is a stud, who could be going as the 101, and he's possibly going to sit out, and you're just making him more and more mad.
I don't like it. Like, I just feel it's childish how Jerry Jones is kind of going about it, taking these little shots at Zeke in every time he speaks to the media. It's kind of BS, dude. Like, without Zeke, where are the Cowboys? I know running backs are a dime a dozen, but Zeke is a different kind of running back.
Yeah,
I think their success I think if Zeke sits, Dallas is going to be in for some regression.
Oh my goodness, yes. And you want to know it too? It's also using Zeke the right way. You look at Saquon Barkley. I mean, he got a lot of his points from cleanup, but if they use Zeke in the correct way, I mean, that's a winning football team. I know Dak's looking for money. Zeke's now looking for money, but Zeke's also in the wrong also. So Jones dropping down to Zeke's level, we're just looking at a lot of childish like comments and movement in the Cowboys organization that it's kind of annoying. I don't even like looking at it. And now that Zeke is probably going to sit out, and I don't know for how long. I know he's dropping in the first round. I mean, I have the number 4 pick, and we're going to talk about that later on a question on who's to take at the number 4. And if Zeke drops there, what am I going to do? So I'll answer that later on in our questions, but that's kind of the mindset of people right now that are drafting. So we'll move on. We'll talk more about Zeke as we hear more. I mean, nothing has even progressed towards a new contract, and all we see is kind of these childish comments. So moving right along to Melvin Gordon, and they have not made progress towards a new deal.
His situation is actually very scary compared to Zeke. I feel Zeke more than likely is going to be playing. Melvin Gordon,
Le'Veon Bell
I
situation.
do think it's more of a Le'Veon Bell situation, and I agree. But I think worst case scenario, Gordon sits half the year because he needs to accrue that free agency year. He needs to accrue this contract year because he's still under contract for 2 years, I think. And if he sits this year, guess what? When he comes back next year, it's still 2 years that he has to play with the Chargers.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's pretty much locked up. And I don't know. I own Melvin Gordon in the Dynasty League. And you see him now on mocks dropping all the way to almost the third. I'm pretty sure he's in the third round by now.
You got Melvin Gordon on a crazy good steal, I feel. You got him in damn near the middle of the second round in Dynasty.
Yeah,
it was a must-take for you, and now it looks like it's like a bad pick, and unfortunately, that's how it goes, I guess. It's sad, and I kind of feel for you, but then again, not really because you're in my division. But it does suck. It does. I feel for you because I literally almost took him at the 10-11.
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard because when we drafted, which was almost a month ago now, or a few weeks, he was going as the 5. He was going as the RB5 or RB6, depending on if you were taking David Johnson or Le'Veon Bell around there. But, I mean, Melvin Gordon, I see him. He's going to be playing this season. It's just when. So, unfortunately, I had Le'Veon Bell last year, and now I have Melvin Gordon this year. So,
oh man, maybe you should go my strategy and just go receiver and be safe.
Well, we'll be talking about receiver here soon. I just wanted to hit on Todd Gurley. That Sean McVay was talking about how he was hitting 21 miles an hour running, and it's the highest speed he's ever hit. But I mean, that's in a straight line. We're talking about we want to see Todd Gurley making cuts. I want to see him taking hits. Those are the main key factors when it comes to Todd Gurley. I don't care if he can run in a straight line. I remember when I broke my leg, I could still run in a straight line. It's just when you make that cut or you make that move, that's when it starts hurting. That's when you can re-aggravate, re-injure, or just feel those pains that you haven't felt before from a procedure.
Speaking about Todd Gurley, man, honestly, it's all been pretty positive news coming out of that camp. But even where he's going in ADP right now, I just feel it's going to be very, very, very hard for him to beat or like bring that value back. I just feel like the odds are against him. They didn't match Brown's offer for no reason. He's the handcuff for sure. Henderson, he probably spells him a little bit, maybe on third downs. And you got to think about this. And I heard this maybe yesterday, that if like when they're winning games and they're blowing teams out, they're up by 17, they're up by 10, there's no reason Todd Gurley should be on the field. And think about that though. Like that's a big thing to think about when it comes to fantasy value. The football player Todd Gurley is still going to be good. It's going to help a team, and he could help any team. But the fantasy football value of Todd Gurley, I just feel like where he's going right now and being drafted in the early second, mid-second, even late second, it's a gamble. And for him to return that value or better, I just feel like the odds are really stacked against him.
Yeah.
How do you feel the same way, or what's your take on Todd Gurley?
You're talking about a guy that has averaged 250 plus every single year almost, except for his rookie year. And I mean, for me, I'm probably going to pass him up, but the positive for Todd Gurley is that he does get those goal line touches. He's going to still get a lot of touchdowns. I mean, 2 years ago, 13, last year, 17. Of course, he's going to regress, but do I see him getting 8 plus? I mean, he's going to score touchdowns. The only problem that comes with Todd Gurley now is that if he is especially getting taken out of games, or they are shifting in some of the backup running backs, I don't know. I see Todd Gurley, of course, as a good running back, but somebody that I'm probably not going to touch in any of my leagues. And unless he falls to the third round, I mean, I would take him in the third around. Let me see what type of guys that I would probably end up putting him with. Like, I would put him right next to like a Devontae Freeman, Kerryon Johnson, somewhere in like that early third. And you're hoping for the Todd Gurley of last year, but I'm afraid that it's going to be the Todd Gurley of the end of last year in the playoffs, where you saw C.J. Anderson running a ton of plays, and they actually kept Todd Gurley off, and it was almost like they weren't telling us what was wrong with him, and a lot of people even started him thinking they were going to get that Todd Gurley game, and he didn't play literally any. I think he played like the first quarter, and then C.J. Anderson just took off with it. So those games are scary, seeing last year, and then going into this year, I don't know. I would want to take the risk out of it and go with somebody a little bit safer. So that's kind of my take on Todd Gurley.
I'm with you on that. I agree. Third round, you can look into him.
So let's jump over to another hype running back. I know that a lot of people are scared when we're going into Nick Chubb.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to talk about how
wide receiver guy, Tyler, but when you said Nick Chubb, I like it. I'm so high on him.
So we were talking about Nick Chubb as having that great season last year. And going into his stats, I mean, he had 192 rushing with 996 yards. And that was on 9 games starting and 16 games played. So he didn't hit 1,000, but he only started in 9 games. I can see Nick Chubb being a great running back this year, and a lot of people are taking him. I mean, of course, in Dynasty in the first round, but going into the second round, Chubb's getting thrown around second and third. So where do you have him ranked? I can look at your rankings right now. So.
See, my rankings aren't updated, Tyler, so don't even look at them. I got to change them up.
Okay.
I mean, you can get a decent look at it, but Nick Chubb has been rising for me big time. I just feel, and I'm a wide receiver guy, and I'm debating taking him at the turn in our draft at the first second round right there. I have 10, and then I got the first pick in the second round, so I'm debating on pairing him with a wide receiver. It probably won't happen because I always go back-to-back receivers, especially at my position. But Nick Chubb, everyone's worried about Kareem Hunt. And I feel if Nick Chubb is how, like, if he's as good as I think he's going to be, Kareem Hunt is literally just going to be on the back burner. And they found their guy, and he'll be playing here and there. Like, Kareem Hunt would be playing here and there, but it wouldn't be like a 50-50 split. Nick Chubb could definitely finish as a top 5 fantasy player.
Yeah.
With the running backs.
And that was the name I was blanking on, was Kareem Hunt. For some reason, I had Tyreek Hill just like stuck in my head, and I couldn't think. Everyone's scared of Kareem Hunt, and when he comes back, and I don't think. I mean, of course, Kareem Hunt's going to get a lot of reps when it comes to practice with the team, and I mean, to me, and I know we've spoke about this in previous podcasts. Nick Chubb is possibly a trade about a week out from Kareem Hunt, and I'm actually one that will talk about being scared of Kareem Hunt, because when he comes back, I mean, we've all seen Kareem Hunt as the Kansas City top 5 running back. If he was on Kansas City right now, he'd be getting drafted right close to David Johnson up in the first round. So we're talking about a guy that is talented. He has the passing and the rushing. And I know Chubb, I'm not sure if Chubb was too much in the receiving game. He only had 20 receptions, so 150 yards. What if Kareem Hunt comes in, can do both, and they kind of have a 50-50 split? I mean, that's not in the...
It's possible, but like I said, like if Nick Chubb is balling out, why would they do that, though?
Yeah,
if he's struggling a little bit, definitely it opens the door for Kareem Hunt to, put his foot in the door. But if you drafted him at the early second round, maybe even the very end of the first round, which I've seen him go, and he's producing at that point, I just feel like Kareem Hunt at that point is irrelevant. So it could go both ways. It's not a lock either way. It could definitely happen what you say. It could happen what I said. I just like the outlook for fantasy for him. The offense, they're not going to be able to stack the box on this guy. There's too many offensive weapons over there. Odell, Landry, Njoku. You can't stack the box. That just makes it even easier for Chubb to ball out.
Yeah, and I think
plus Duke Johnson's gone, so Hilliard's not going to get all the catches out of the backfield. There was a report saying that he could step into Duke Johnson's role, but Nick Chubb is going to be integrated into the passing game as well. So that alone boosts his value big time.
And that's what I was going to say. I like Chubb as positive, getting more receptions this upcoming year. And I think he's
going to have positive regression on his receptions. There's no doubt about it.
And I think he gets more receptions probably even before Hunt is even able to play. I think Chubb has more than he had last year just in that first 6 games. So
I agree.
So let's jump. So
Chubb, before we go anywhere, where are you on Chubb, though? Where are you comfortable drafting this guy?
So I would put Chubb in the same area as I'd put James Conner. And I know they go kind of really close to each other, but he's going to be...
Early second, mid-second, where... Because I got James Conner. I'm just kind of scared of James Conner.
Yeah, I'll probably put him mid-second round is where I'd take him. A lot of people are taking him at the end of the first, early second. And to me, that's a little too soon when you have guys... I mean, you still have
like
guys
elite
like
receivers and
exactly.
like more proven guys. I understand. Okay, makes sense. I've seen Nick Chubb go late second round, and I feel like if you get Nick Chubb late second round, it's an absolute steal.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, you might be different on that because you're not as high on him. But in my opinion, like Nick Chubb falling to the late second round, you have to draft him. Just take him in. I think he represents good value for you.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree that he does have good value. Let's
jump.
And
Tyler, me talking up running backs is rare, dude. You know that.
I know, and I got one more still. I mean, we're pounding the running backs right now. Let's just do one last one here. Derrick Henry, he had a calf injury, and now he's back at the Titans practice facility. I'm not very high on Derrick Henry going into this year, and I think that me and you are a little bit different when it comes to Henry.
No, I'm kind of leaning towards you.
Okay, you're falling back in this way?
Yeah, dude, I got him in Dynasty, and I still got a decent value. It was like late 5th round or something like that, or middle of the 5th round in Dynasty. But, yes, a lot of red flags.
Oh, man.
Definitely.
Okay, I like the sound of that because, to me, Derrick Henry, I might even have him at a surprising ranking on my rankings to how low he is because – I think we're going back to the same situation we had last year at the beginning of the season. I don't see Derrick Henry being that. I mean, I'm glad he did it last year, so now he's going so high and people are taking him. But yeah. I would not even touch him. I mean, geez, he could go. Let me look how far he could go on my rankings before I even picked him. I mean, I'd pick him.
While you look at that, I'll admit his end of season was pretty damn fluky. I just that was dominant. And it worked. The game script worked perfectly. I don't see the Titans have a great defense, so that may help him stick in the game. But when they're losing, Derrick Henry isn't on the field. It's Dion Lewis, and unfortunately, that makes me want to cry because he's my starting running back.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I'm happy because sure, I took Derrick Henry in the end of the 4th, early 5th. But I also got David Montgomery in like the 7th in Dynasty, so I could just throw Montgomery in, or pretend that I drafted him in the 5th and him in the 7th, even though I didn't. But I could, at this point in time, I mean, we did that draft early July, So at this point in time, I could just chalk it up as I drafted him there and him there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not like a huge loss. So it's not like I lost value.
So Derrick Henry right now is going early 4th round. I would probably say that I have people I would draft before him in the 6th and 7th round. So I would push him all the way to
name a couple names, Tyler. You cannot just leave us hanging like that. I need to hear some names.
Okay, who I would draft before him? I probably draft Latavius Murray, Austin Eckler, James White. I'm putting him down there in that range.
Really? I know you were very low on him. I didn't know you were that low.
Yeah, I would put him right next to Latavius Murray, probably in the mid-6th round.
Okay, and everyone, all the millions of listeners. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Tyler loves Latavius Murray, so just know that. These guys are on opposite ends of the spectrum for him. He hates Derrick Henry, and he loves Latavius Murray.
And that's where they meet in the middle.
For sure, fine. So
in the ADP middle.
You'd really take Murray over Henry, huh?
I'm right in that mindset right now where I see Dion Lewis as a steal late, like at the end of the draft.
No, hey, he's growing on me as well. I think because what did Dion Lewis have? Damn near 60 catches last year.
Yeah,
and he wasn't phased out at the end of the year,
and he wasn't all that great.
And that was his first year in the offense as well. So it's like, you know what? You have a case. We'll put it at that.
All right. Well, let's fly through these last ones because we definitely got to get to the questions, and I know this news is taking a while, so I'm just gonna kind of lump them together. There's Darwin Thompson. He's they're hyping him up. Andy Reid's hyping him up. We just talked about him before.
There's just too much to talk about, Tyler. That's the thing, dude. There's just so much to talk about.
You miss 1 week, and all of a sudden there's all this stuff.
Then you got all this pressure to try to get it all into one.
Exactly. So we have Cam Newton that can throw the deep ball, and then we have Mark Andrews, who is they're saying is their best offensive playmaker on the Ravens training camp. So anyone out of there that you want to kind of pick out and just talk about one?
You said Cam Newton?
Yeah, Cam Newton, deep ball has returned, is what they were saying.
Okay, I didn't even see that. That's okay. That changes the landscape a little bit.
That changes the quarterback
literally
landscape.
That gives DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel even a bigger boost, in my opinion. Yeah. That's good news. I want to talk about Mark Andrews. I know he's been jumping up in ADP, but still, if you miss out on that first and second tier, just wait. Just wait till the 9th, 10th round and grab Mark Andrews. And he's not going to be spectacular putting up 30 points a game, but I think he's going to be pretty steady at around 10 to 15 a game.
Yeah,
and at the tight end position, if you push the tight end position late in your draft and get him, I feel like it's a good pickup. And then that means more than likely, if you draft it all right, you're stacked at the other positions, and you still have a tight end that's going to give you consistency. So I do like Mark Andrews.
And
nothing spectacular, Tyler. He's not. He's not going to blow up. You don't. If you're looking for that, maybe go with an Njoku a little bit before him, because Njoku, he's going to have big weeks, but he's also going to have 3-point weeks too. So.
And we're talking about the tight end position, so. Mark Andrews, he's playing with Lamar Jackson, and I can see him getting a lot more targets than people think, just because of how the tight end being short fielded.
Yeah, you got
Lamar's going to drop
first, man.
Yeah, he's going to drop it off to Andrews a lot. So
play action, hit the tight end, boom. It's going to happen a lot.
And that helps for PPR too.
It's not going to be for chunk plays though. Yeah, it's receptions and probably a touchdown every other game, damn near. I feel like he should get about 8 touchdowns. 6 to 8 is where I project him.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess the hard part is when they get to that red zone, who's going to take the ball in? Is it going to be Lamar? Or, I guess his only other option is tight end, throw it up to a big man.
I feel like you got 3 options. Lamar run it in, hand it off to Ingram, or pass it to Andrews. Yeah. That's where you're at down there.
All right, well, let's switch over then. We touched on a lot of the news. It took up a lot of time. We're at about a half hour now, and I'm going to switch over to the question and answer section. So we're going to get into kind of what the community is asking. There's people all over the place right now who are wondering about who they should take in a certain round, or everyone's going to be drafting. I think this is the biggest drafting week in the entire preseason. And come Saturday is the biggest drafting day when it comes to players draft or teams drafting and leagues drafting. So
this Saturday?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So we want to get this out, and we want to just let everyone know what we think about it. And we're going to answer these same questions later on this week when we do our second one. So going right into it, on a full PPR 3 wide receiver, who are you drafting? DeAndre Hopkins or Devontae Adams? And
okay. So basically asking who's your number 1 receiver here.
Yep.
I'm going Adams, man. Reason being, I had him last year on my championship teams, Two, the guy did not in full PPR. This guy did not score less than 16 points in a game. You take that all day. Hopkins was a little more volatile. He's probably more talented, but Adams is the main guy on the team. Aaron Rodgers locks onto him. It's a pass. That's his first look. Hopkins, there's a little more. There's more competition there. He's an elite talent, and I don't think you can go wrong. If you want Hopkins over Adams, you do it. In my personal opinion, I'm taking Adams over Hopkins. It's not the flashy pick. Hopkins is going to boom more than Adams, but I want consistency right there, and no less than 16 a game is pretty insane. And I think this year, Adams scores more touchdowns than he did last year. I have him for about 16 this year. So I think he gets better.
Okay. And mine would be the opposite. I think I'm taking Hopkins due to having many more consistency when it comes to seasons. Hopkins has done it since day one. Since he turned 21, going into 2014 when he turned 22, he's been up in the 1,000, 1,200 plus yardage. I mean, last year, him and Adams were almost identical when it came to the type of player, the targets. I mean, they're only 10 targets away from each other. Receptions, only 10 receptions away from each other. But where it really came down to is the yardage. I mean, Hopkins had close to 1,600 yards compared to Adams' 1,400. But then it came to touchdowns. You have 13 compared to the 11. So Adams only had 2 more touchdowns. I think I'm still leaning Hopkins, and I think he should be the one wide receiver off the board until he proves otherwise, that he can't just continue to do this. Because you look at Adams, and he had that great season last year, but that was his only season he's ever had where he's been above 1,000 yards when it comes to receiving. Everything else has been around 800 the last 2, or 900 the last 2, and then 500 his first 2 seasons in Green Bay. So,
and your take, I can't even argue. I think you presented that very well, honestly. It's not going to change my mind, but you had me double think. I'm still going to take Adams because I think I just think he gets better this year. But yeah, you're 100% correct on Hopkins. Is like, that dude's been doing it for how long? That's the difference.
And you got to think too, I mean, they're both the same exact age. They're both going to be going into the primes of their season at 26, turning 27. And I don't think you can go wrong either way. If you're projecting Aaron Rodgers to have a bounce-back season, I mean, Adams could seriously be the number 1 wide receiver this year and have the yardage that Hopkins has, and then also have more touchdowns. And you just had the steal of the draft. But I still think Hopkins will be that top 5 wide receiver, no doubt, type of play.
Hey,
and so
I could be wrong here. Are you able to look something up? Did Davante Adams miss a game last year too, or no?
He did. He had
he did miss a game?
Yeah, he started 15 out of 15 games played, so he never even played a whole last game.
So you got to think, throw another
100
yards,
receptions, maybe
that passes him another 100 yards. He'd still be 100 behind Hopkins. Maybe another touchdown will put him 3 ahead. I don't know, man. Just Davante Adams at a 16 game pace. And this is another thing that in my argument, Aaron Rodgers wasn't that good last year, and this is what Davante Adams did. I feel like the new offense only makes Rodgers, he has to have a better year. And how does it not benefit Adams, or do they spread it around a little more, or do they focus on the run? I feel like it has to benefit him. It has to go up from there.
Yeah, and I can see Adams. I can see the whole offense getting a bump up, like a small bump up, and that's going to help everybody. And then already Adams being close to the number 1 wide receiver, a small bump up is actually a lot. So,
and Rodgers did say he wants to get the ball to him even more. I mean, he had 169 targets last year compared to DeAndre Hopkins 163, and he played 1 less game. And Aaron Rodgers wants to get it to him more. I don't know, man. There's a lot of Davante Adams could get better. I mean, yes, he broke through last year and he did it 1 time, so that is the scary thing about him. Unlike Hopkins, where every year you can draft this guy as the number 1 receiver if you want to, and you can't go wrong. But I mean, I just feel like he could definitely do better than that. Hopkins is gonna be around the 115, 1,510 touchdowns. It's unless he gets hurt, like literally he will be there again.
And you're talking about Aaron Rodgers or his statement to Davante Adams getting more targets. I mean, I don't see Aaron Rodgers as a Pete Carroll. I see Aaron Rodgers as he's going to talk what's on his mind. I mean, he's already said his words about the new coach, and
yep. He's an honest guy, dude. He doesn't BS.
I believe him. So let's move on then. So we're kind of split on that one, but we kind of gave good points of why you should take either one. What's your mindset?
I like your points. I think it sounded like you like mine. I think that was a good conversation right there.
So we're gonna stick with wide receivers, and here's one going over to the Rams. Would you feel comfortable stacking Cooks and Woods together? I mean, you have Brandon Cooks, and then you have Robert Woods. Both of them were high-end wide receivers last year. I mean, what if you drafted them both, or they both showed up on your team? Are you upset with that? What are your strategies going into that then?
Okay, so I'm probably one of the few that isn't too high on Robert Woods this year.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just get these feelings. I'm not even sure why. Maybe it's because he's not flashy. Maybe I don't know. He was a good fantasy player. He was a low wide receiver 1 last year. I'm pretty sure. So I don't know why I'm even saying that. But yes, I wouldn't mind having him if that answers it. Like I would not mind having the stack. Is it ideal? Probably not ideal. But if the value's there, you take them. Like if Robert Woods is there and like Tyler Boyd, you take Robert Woods and you pair him with Brandon Cooks, or vice versa. It's probably vice versa because I think Woods is coming off the boards. They're going around the same time, so
they're right next to each other.
Either way, like that scenario is perfect. Yes, you take them both. Why not? High flying offense. The run game is kind of sketch, so they might have to throw it a lot. Todd Gurley, a lot of question marks, and you got to think though if Todd Gurley even plays anywhere close to last year, you've seen what Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks do together, so why not pair them in fantasy football? Yeah. So it's not, no, I'm not doing it no matter what. I'm going to take someone else. Like, that's not a good way to go about it. If the value's there and they drop and they fall in your lap, like literally handed to you, you take it. Yeah. And like you mentioned before the show, Tyler, you don't draft someone to trade them, but later in the season, if you just feel like maybe it's not working out the best, you're a little scared or whatever, like whatever the case is, you'll be able to trade either one of them to get the same value back. It will then you don't have to worry about the problem anymore.
Yeah, and what I think too is, I mean, this just shows that Goff has has a great situation in front of him, that he has Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods both going in the middle of the 4th round, and then you have Cooper Kupp going in the 5th round. So
Cooper Kupp's healthy. I feel like he could go in the same spot.
You have 3 of this on the same team, 3 wide receivers on the same team in the 4th and 5th round. The only thing that scares me is that that they all, I mean, I don't see them all finishing at that draft position. I mean, you're trying to take your shot by taking one. I think taking 2 is a risk, unless he falls to you. Of course, if you're going to get them both, you're going to grab Cooks unless you're grabbing Cooks in the 3rd and then Woods drops you in the 4th. But then you're taking Woods over like Chris Godwin, Julian Edelman, Kenny Galladay. These are just some of the guys that you're taking him over. And to save yourself from that situation, sometimes you got to lean and say, I think Robert Woods is better, but not by that much. Then you might want to drop down and take like a Kenny Galladay, who might have a great season. So, and then Cooper Kupp going right there. I would be okay with like a Brandon Cooks Cooper Kupp or a Robert Woods Cooper Kupp, because you have more of a possession receiver compared to more of a touchdown receiver, and that's kind of the pairing that I want. Instead of having 2 of almost the same receiver and then Cooper Kupp is catching all the touchdowns, that's going to ruin one of your wide receivers that week. So kind of the way that I look at it for those 2. Would I want to draft them both? No, unless the situation...
Not ideal. Yeah. So you're a no for sure, like type thing. You're leaning towards, you're pretty heavy on no. I feel like it's not ideal.
Yeah.
But it's not the worst. It's not the worst thing.
It isn't. They're both great wide receivers, and like we said, if you all of a sudden started to feel a little bit awkward about it going into the season, just start looking to trade. But either you're drafting Cooks earlier than his ADP in the 3rd round, or you're drafting Woods at a great value down at 5 or 6. And I mean, if it's that way, then of course I would probably take the value and go tier-based drafting. But if you're drafting them earlier than what you think, there's better options. So that's kind of where I sit with that one.
Fair enough.
And then next question is, are you taking Godwin or Tyler Lockett. So we have Chris Godwin or Tyler Lockett. And looking at their average draft positions, I mean, you have Chris Godwin. We were just talking about him going at the end of the 4th. And you have Tyler Lockett that's after him going early 5th. What is your idea on that one, Ryan?
I feel like it's easy for me to answer this one. It's Godwin.
Okay.
I literally probably would take him 10 out of 10 on this.
Yeah, I would too.
So you're in the same boat then, huh? Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So you would take him 10 out of 10 times over Lockett.
Yes. Yeah, especially
so
if they're
we
going
are
next
very
to each other.
high, both of us, on Godwin. I think he's got some crazy upside. That's a guy that if you go like 3 straight RBs and he's your wide receiver 1, I don't even think you're in a bad situation right there.
I'm not thinking of that high. I'm not going that high.
But if you have 3 RB1s to start the draft
and then put Chris Godwin as my 1?
Yeah. I don't think that's terrible. In a 12-man league, that is a really good start.
Okay, yeah, I guess it depends on the running backs you get, but Chris Godwin, if he jumps in as that Adam Humphries-esque role as last year, then you are actually getting a great wide receiver 1 for the value.
Plus, he's targeted pretty crazy in the red zone. He's going to get touchdowns.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's going to get a lot more targets this year. He's going to be operating out of the slot, which helps everyone. Anyone that goes in the slot, they become a monster.
Mike Evans over the top.
Michael Thomas, dude. Whenever they use that guy in the slot, he's getting the rock. And he lived there. Outside, he wasn't as good. So anyone that goes in the slot is a beast.
And, I mean, I'm not going to knock Tyler Lockett too much, but he's on a team that we don't even know what's going to happen next year. I mean, it was very fluky of him to all of a sudden have 10 touchdowns, less than 1,000 yards, and he only had 57 receptions. I mean, you don't want that as a 1, or if you're getting him, let's say you're getting him as like your wide receiver 2, usually on your team. I still want the upside of Godwin, and I don't want to go for that touchdown. I feel like Godwin could almost even have more touchdowns than Tyler Lockett did last year. He could be close to like 8, just because of how much targets he's going to get.
Let's just go with targets from last year, Tyler. 95 for Godwin and only 70 for Lockett last year. I don't know, man. Godwin's going to get more targets. And what's Tyler Lockett's targets going to look like? Maybe he gets 85, 15 more?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't think he's going to get peppered with volume. Tyler Lockett's not that kind of guy. His touchdowns legit saved his year last year.
Yeah, and I feel like every season we go into, a lot of people have been hyping up Tyler Lockett every year, and it's like he's never produced, and last year was very fluky. You can't look at this upcoming season and think that he's going to do the same thing, because I mean it's not even projectable. The type
57
of
57 receptions only, almost 81%, 10 touchdowns. So
81% catch percentage.
Yeah, pretty good for that. Yeah, he had 57 targets and 70. Let's see here. 70 targets, 57 receptions. I said it backwards, but yeah, it's just like the targets need to be higher if you're going to be drafted in the late 4th round, early 5th round, I feel.
And let me tell you, for Tyler Lockett, when it comes to my rankings, he's drafted in the early 5th right now. I can drop him almost all the way down to the 7th round.
I think that's fair.
Down by guys like DJ Moore and Will Fuller.
I would take DJ Moore probably over Lockett.
Yeah.
But then I would take Lockett over Fuller.
Okay. So
now I'm not trying to dog Tyler Lockett here. It's just where he's going, I just don't think is worth it. I wouldn't mind having him on my team, but not at that price.
No, and that's like what I'm talking about with where he's being drafted. If he was like my flex or let's say we're in a 3 wide receiver league and he was my wide receiver 3
with a couple decent running backs,
exactly, I'll be okay. But if I'm picking him up as my wide receiver 2 on my team and I don't have anybody that's in front of him, I'm a little worried because I can't go into a season with like an Adam Thielen, Tyler Lockett, and 2 stud wide receiver or running backs. It's a little scary.
I agree with you. I agree.
So
we're on the same boat on that one too, which is interesting because we kind of I feel like we're kind of split with a lot of decisions, and we've agreed on the last couple here. So
let's jump into this quick one. I'm just going to ask you, just give me some of your thoughts when it comes to trading Josh Gordon. What are you looking for, and what are you looking to give up when talking about Josh
How
Gordon?
we talking? Redraft or dynasty?
Let's talk both. Let's talk about what you were looking for now, and then now that you have Josh Gordon, if it was redraft, what would you be looking to go after?
So redraft, I would look for like a DJ Moore type, a Tyler Boyd, something like that, where they could probably produce maybe around the same, but maybe have a little more upside potentially. But also, I feel like they're riskier.
Yeah,
because I think Josh Gordon is going to be a pretty safe play as like a high wide receiver 3, potential wide receiver 2 this year. He'll even in the flex, like you could use him in the flex weekly. And then there's guys like DJ Moore and Tyler Boyd, which are kind of like you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah, they're rated pretty high right now, but they could go either way.
yeah.
And I feel like maybe something like that in redraft is pretty fair. I know a lot of people don't like why would you trade a wide receiver for a wide receiver? And the people that say that, you guys are nuts, because there's literally nothing wrong with that. And I feel like you're just an amateur if you believe that. So, if I was going after a running back, no, I mean that's kind of throwing me on the spot.
That's rough.
I would probably take your boy Derrick Henry for him in redraft and give it a shot.
Okay. I mean, obviously, if you have Josh Gordon, you got him super late, and if you're drafting now, his ADP is going to be pretty high. So you're actually drafting him where you're trying to trade up for. So going for guys like what Ryan's talking about, what I think about is if he plays on the field, if Josh Gordon's on the field playing for the Patriots, he is going to be a good wide receiver to have, especially if you drafted him late. I see him being better than a lot of the people that are in the mid rounds, like a Marvin Jones being better than Dante Pettis. But when it comes to his off the field, and you don't know, it's almost scary to have him. And you would want to trade for somebody who has that upside that Ryan's talking about, but also presents that he's not going to walk off the field. Like a DJ Moore is perfect because he has a huge upside. A lot of people are a little bit high on DJ Moore, but you could talk them into a Josh Gordon just using previous stats, the hype that Josh Gordon always carries.
Like I said, Josh Gordon's name itself kind of like helps you in trade talks. At least last year it did for me in a lot of leagues.
Yeah.
Josh Gordon is another guy, though. I feel like he's a pretty safe play. He has his floor is probably pretty good. I feel like a 5 for 50 every game is not going to be like hard to do.
Yeah, put him around 10
Plus,
points
he can
a
get
game.
a touchdown and maybe get 8 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Or he's not going to blow you out of the water with Tom Brady at the quarterback because Tom Brady obviously is pretty old. But he's still not terrible. His arm strength is kind of depleted, but he's still going to get targeted. He's going to be he's a safe play if he plays. Like it's hard to say like that. But he's not the safest player to own because of all the off the field stuff. Like it's kind of like a double-edged sword right there.
Yeah.
While he's playing, I think his floor is pretty good.
Yeah, I agree, and that's kind of what I was saying before. Is if he's on the field, you play him, but you are scared of his off the field. So
it's not a guy that you're like, oh, I have to trade for him. Like if you don't get Josh Gordon, it doesn't matter. Like you'll be fine.
Yeah, let somebody else have
like
the headache
breaker or anything like that.
So we're going to do this real quick then for the next question is just asking what would be your breakout wide receiver this upcoming year? Somebody who hasn't done it before or hasn't flashed crazy amount before, and we're looking to go into this new season. Maybe somebody you don't even know the name too much, and then all of a sudden he's going to have a great season. I'll let you go first, Ryan. I know you probably have it up right now.
I got a guy. He's not a no-name, and he had a decent season last year, big touchdown numbers. Mike Williams, he was a top 10 pick, and people forget about this guy. He was out for the whole season his rookie year with a back injury, and then he had how many touchdowns last year? I want to say 12. I could be wrong on that, but he flashed in the touchdown category. And then you got no Melvin Gordon potentially for half the season. You have Hunter Henry coming off that ACL. I'm not saying that it's going to probably affect them, but you just have to throw that out there. Keenan Allen already banged up. Now, this doesn't even depend on Keenan Allen being out, but let's say he does miss a chunk of games. Mike Williams is going to be a star if Keenan Allen misses games. I think even with Keenan Allen there and Hunter Henry there, without Melvin Gordon there, does help Mike Williams, and it helps my case as my breakout.
Yeah.
I could see it. I mean, he only had, I think he had less than 50 catches last year. I feel no matter what, he blows that out of the water. 65 right now. 60. I'll say 60 as a low.
Okay.
6,800 yards, double-digit touchdowns again. At the lowest, if he breaks out, he's in the 1,000 yards, and it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Nice. And I like Mike Williams, too. Being drafted at the middle to end of the 5th round is a good spot for him. It's going right around that area of Tyler Boyd and Robbie Anderson. And I like the player that you get, and he's probably going to be your wide receiver 3 or your flex.
Big potential, man.
With huge potential. And he almost has a safe floor because
he does have a safe floor.
The targets that he'll be getting. So I like that pick, and mine's going to be kind of out of left field. We were kind of looking over all the guys. There's a lot of guys I like, and I really haven't spoke too much about Courtland Sutton. He's I like a guy that not many people are talking about, and he's moving into that wide receiver 1 role for the Broncos. I mean, they just picked up Joe Flacco, and you think to yourself, well, Joe Flacco didn't have that good of a season last year. He kind of was pulled for the rookie. They traded him over to the Broncos. I think that Joe Flacco still has some flash in him when it comes to the deep ball. I mean, you saw John Brown. He was an actual wide receiver 2 when Flacco was hitting him. I mean, he could have been the 1. I'm trying to think of like that streak of 3 or 4 games where John Brown, people are just trading him away. He was having some great games, and came from the hand of Joe Flacco. So Emmanuel Sanders is coming back, and he's going to be, it sounds like, going to be ready to go for week 1. And that's just good news for more people guarding that slot role when it comes to having 2 solid wide receivers on the same team. So I think Courtland Sutton being a big body, getting a lot more red zone look and deep balls, it's a potential for a breakout this year, and you're getting him at a pretty good steal when it comes to, I think he was later in the, my goodness, he had to have been around the 6th round, 6th or 7th round. So I definitely, he's a deeper sleeper than I brought up, and I do like it. Even like to piggyback off that, Emmanuel Sanders doesn't hurt him at all. It helps him, and him being there doesn't affect him at all. It affects Deshaun Hamilton, Emmanuel Sanders. I just think it'd help him not be. So if Emmanuel Sanders is not there, they can kind of focus on him. Yeah. So, and you never know. I don't know what Flacco has left in his arm, but the guy's young. He's very talented. He flashed last year. He didn't necessarily get it done last year, but he did flash his talent. So it's there, and he's a much deeper sleeper. But it's a good pick though, Tyler. I think that's a pretty solid pick for your receiver. I like it. He's on your dynasty team, so I mean, I don't know if that affected it at all, but it's a good pick, dude. I'm just busting your balls. This will be a real quick one. I wanted to answer this one. The safest pick at the number 1. If you had the 101 going into any draft, I mean, just off the top of your head, who you going?
Right now, Zeke playing, Zeke possibly holding out. Where are we at? How are we doing this? You got this matters, dude.
Right now, if you're drafting today.
Right now, today. Okay. I go Barkley.
Okay. It has to be Barkley, and I know that before we were talking, it's like, oh man, it could be anybody from CMC, Kamara, Barkley, and if Zeke's playing, it's probably going to be Zeke. But I don't think you go wrong. In PPR, I think you're good to just go Kamara, CMC, or Barkley in that spot, and you're going to be happy with it because they're all going to end up as a top 5 if they don't get injured. And
you didn't make a mistake if you took or not Zeke, but like if you took Kamara or CMC right there. It's not a mistake.
And the way I think of it too is, are you targeting any of the wide receivers from the Panthers? Are you targeting any of the wide receivers that you're able to get from New Orleans? I know you're not targeting anybody from New York. So Barkley just seems like the safe pick, and then it opens up for if you want to take a Curtis Samuel or a DJ Moore later in the draft.
On that note, Tyler, that's not a bad way to think about it at all. So if you want Kamara, you're not getting Michael Thomas. So how you're breaking it down, Barkley or Kamara would be the pick, because I think if you want McCaffrey, I don't know if you would want to pair him with DJ Moore. Curtis, because can that offense produce two major fantasy players? I don't know.
So it's almost like if you're picking CMC, you're kind of putting one hand behind your back for wide receivers later on. That I would almost put it between Barkley and Kamara. And if Zeke's playing, so if Zeke's playing and he like ironed out all of this this bad juju going around, I would also put Zeke almost even above Barkley. Would you put him as your 101, Ryan?
If Zeke's playing right now,
yeah,
yes, Zeke would be my 101.
His receiving, I think, is the biggest thing that was coming around last year.
My biggest thing for Zeke is he only had 6 touchdowns on the ground last year with 1,400 yards, dude. That will double. That's going to double. He had 77 catches, which is insane, for 567 and 3 touchdowns in the air. That, I think, probably stays the same. Maybe a little regression. He'll have around 70 catches if he were playing. Touchdowns 3 or 4, but it's the rushing touchdowns that would go up.
Okay.
And that would boost him instantly up into the top tier.
Yeah.
Or the top overall. That's
the number one
right there. Like he would be the 101, then Barkley, then you can go wherever next after that. I don't know, man. With all this stuff coming out, I just feel Kamara would be 3 and CMC 4. And at one point I had CMC as my number 1. But they want to limit his workload a little bit, it sounds like. They came out and said that they want to have the backup take the goal line touches. That just sounds so stupid. I don't think it's true, but I mean, just hearing that stuff, it's like, give me a little safer bet here.
So let's say this. Let's say that Zeke is out, and our next question coming up here, who would you take at the 4 spot? If Saquon, Kamara, and McCaffrey all go, and you have the 4th overall pick, are you going running back? Are you going wide receiver? Or are you taking that risk with Zeke?
Honestly, damn, dude, that's tough.
So here, I'll give you my answer. I have the 4th.
Go with yours first here.
In our league, I have the 4th. And if we were drafting today, I would have to tell everybody I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins as my 4th overall pick. And it's the same argument that I had against Devontae Adams or Hopkins as the 1. And I'm going with consistency. I'm letting everybody else take these running backs like Bell and DJ and hoping for that running back. Someone else is going to take Zeke later on and possibly get a steal. But I'm going to take the first sure thing in wide receiver, and I can make up for that running back a little bit later on. And I just think as a pick that high in the draft, you want to pick somebody that has that consistency. And Hopkins right there is like the only thing I see that isn't a question mark going into the season. So that's my pick.
All right, you've convinced me. I'm on board with that, except I would go Adams.
Okay. Same argument, though. It's the same argument.
Yeah, no, for sure. Exact same argument. And now if I'm later in the first round, if Zeke fell to me at the end of the first, I think I'd probably take him. It's just the capitalizing. Say you have like the 12th pick and he lands there. Do you take him there, Tyler?
Who's Zeke?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take him.
Okay, that's right. Okay, that's why I wanted to know that, because I think I would too, and that's where I'll take the gamble. But you're 100% right. Top of the draft, eliminate complete risk right there. There's no reason to blow a 4th overall pick on a guy that might miss half the year, maybe the whole year, even 4 games. It's just, you're right. Yeah, I'll give that one to you. You beat me this time, bud. Damn it.
but with Zeke though, it comes down to also, there's a lot of money on the table, and I know that Zeke and his agent are smart guys to where if they hold out, they're going to be losing out on a lot of money and a lot of playing time. I don't know. I could see also the pressure of him playing, too. That's why I would draft him still in the first round. It just wouldn't be at the 4. So, I mean, I still would rather draft Zeke probably over Le'Veon Bell.
100%, Tyler. Okay. 100%, dude.
A lot of people are saying like they like taking Bell in the first. I am not a fan, and
I don't understand the hype. Can you explain why Bell's going in the first round? Like, besides he's the bell cow on a not the greatest offense, Adam Gase as the head coach, I don't see.
We'll have to touch on Bell next episode because there's a lot to talk about. But just letting everyone know that I think Bell going in the first round is a mistake.
He's forced himself into the first round with the expert consensus picks, and I just don't.
No,
I don't see it at all.
I see guys I would rather have that are like at the end of the second.
We got guys in our draft. They're like, like early second round. Juan's in our draft. He's like I need a running back there, and
You-
it's unfortunately probably going to be Bell because you guys aren't going to take him.
Yeah.
So he's like, I have to take him with the second pick of the second round. He's like, I have to,
and I hope so.
just because that's just because rankings.
Yeah.
And you don't want
people-
to play that game. If you trust yourself, if you think you're a seasoned fantasy football player, it's okay to shy away from the expert consensus rankings, dude. It's okay. I do it every year. I do it.
Yeah,
And I got
have your
plenty of
own
tips
mind.
to talk about.
Yes. Have your own mind when you go into it.
Trust
if there's
yourself.
somebody you don't like, just trust your instinct and go with the people that you're more comfortable with. So
Yep. Perfect example was a couple years ago when DeMarco Murray was going at the end of the first round. That was so bad. So bad. I called that out right away. I'm like, how? This guy is so bad. Then I'm watching mock drafts on YouTube, and everyone's taking them and thinking they got to steal. And I'm just over here like, are you guys serious? You're supposed to be experts. You're taking DeMarco freaking Murray. This guy's garbage. And what do? Horrible year. Absolute trash. And it just made me feel pretty good, man. Like, I called it instantly. That was the one guy in the top 2 rounds that I knew for a fact was going to be a bust. Like, just seeing people take guys like that, I'm like, yes. You know what I mean?
You hope for it.
I feel now Bell has probably a better outlook than Murray at that time because I think Murray was like 30. Yeah, he's probably like 30 years old. Bell's what, 27, 28? Yeah. So he still has a couple of years, and he definitely could. He could produce that, but I feel like at like the best year on the Jets, he'll be like the 7th overall fantasy player, and that's where he's going. That's where he's projected to go in drafts.
He's going at the ceiling. There's not any.
He's going at his ceiling right now.
Yeah,
that's where he's going. His absolute ceiling, in my opinion. You don't want to. That's the thing. You never want to take guys that are literally capped out. Like that's horrible. It doesn't. You have no value.
Yeah, and like people are saying with like DJ, he has flashed before, and he's still on the same team.
Too.
Yeah, but he still scares me. But we won't jump into him. Let's move on.
We can save that for next week, though, for sure. Let's talk about those couple running backs next week because I got some takes on DJ that I would love to talk about, and that would take some nice time. He's dropping for me, and he's dropping pretty hard.
The next one's gonna be pretty quick. The person was asking, does Tony Pollard have any value if Zeke comes back? And the answer is no.
Hell no is the answer.
No backup has ever even come close. I mean, you look at last year's stats. Dak Prescott had more rushing attempts than Rod Smith.
The second running back. Yep.
So I mean, you had Zeke at 304 for rushing attempts. There is no number 2. You could take.
It's an absolute no. He is a super bell cow when he is there.
Next one we have here, 6-point touchdown. Are you taking Lamar, Kyler, or Dak Prescott? So you have Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, and
6-point passing touchdowns.
Yep, 6-point.
Okay, I feel like they can all run. The best runner is Lamar Jackson. Next would be Kyler Murray, then Dak Prescott. So that's one thing.
Let's just eliminate Dak Prescott out of the conversation.
That's actually a good idea.
Lamar and Kyler.
Yeah, he's a late round sleeper kind of guy, but he's not gonna like wow you. He'll be solid. Kyler Murray would be the pick, and I just feel like it's easy. Lamar Jackson last year was kind of actually he was very shaky passing the ball. Kyler Murray has more arm strength. He's more accurate. I feel like he's on it's just a higher octane offense too. So he's the guy to pick. His upside is big. Would it surprise me if Lamar Jackson did finish the year better in passing touchdowns than Kyler Murray?
Yes.
I don't know if it would surprise me, but that's possible. But Kyler Murray should be the pick here. Where are you going with that?
Yeah, I could see. I'll actually agree with Kyler Murray. We don't know what he's going to do, but we did see a preseason game of him using his legs, getting outside the pocket. He's going to be the better passer. I say he's probably going to have double Lamar Jackson's passing touchdowns, and I mean he'll be
okay.
But I mean he'll be pretty close when it comes to rushing touchdowns, not to Lamar Jackson, but more to like Dak Prescott. Lamar Jackson just, if he stays healthy, and that's another thing, is staying healthy while being a rushing quarterback. You saw it when you saw him in the preseason game when he had that long run for the touchdown. I don't know. I don't see Lamar Jackson as he's going to be a good fantasy quarterback, and I would still take him because Kyler Murray is going ahead of him a little bit, a few rounds ahead of him. But yeah, I would go Kyler Murray if it was all in the same slate. You're going to get that. You have DJ in the backfield. I mean, you have Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald. I think their offense is just completely better than what Lamar has. I mean, he's got a ragtag wide receiver core. Ingram is his running back who I don't know if he's going to be taking.
At all.
Yeah, no catches out of the backfield too much.
Here's the thing, Tyler. So Kyler Murray in that offense, they have a lot of hype. So the easy answer is Kyler Murray. And out of those three, it's still Kyler Murray. But there's still a decent chance that whole offense flops.
There is, and that's why we have that. That we're gonna have that talk about DJ next podcast because it's got the similar shaky feel when it comes to all.
It's not even the offense flopping. DJ, it's kind of just how he looks while he's playing. Honestly, But I saw that last preseason game that we can elaborate next week.
All right, last question that we have, and this is gonna be more geared. So we did my pick 4, and we talked about that question. Now let's get to the end of the draft. You have out of the 12-team league, you have the pick 11. And then on the next turn, you have pick 14 in the second round. What are some of your strats? Let's say that, of course, Thomas, Odell, Adams, they're all gone.
Hopkins, Julio all gone? Or Julio still there, or what?
You have Julio. I say you have Julio still there. Let me run.
Still be there. Okay.
Yeah, let me run down who is still left. So it gets to you.
Go off ADP.
You have Mixon, Gordon, Chubb, Mike Evans, Julio, Todd Gurley, James Conner, Kelsey. Juju's gone.
Juju would be gone. Is this Dynasty or redraft?
This is under Dynasty. We'll answer the Dynasty first.
Okay. Damn. I like Mike Evans.
Okay. Yep. Me too. That's
Mike Evans, probably first right there.
You'd take him in the first round and just not even take the chance.
I already did that in our Dynasty League, so yeah, it's an easy answer for me. That's what I did, and I'll do it again.
Yeah, I think that like you said, you take Mike Evans first because there's a ton of running backs. Even if like all the running backs get taken by the next guy, the two of them, there's going to be a third right there ready to go. I feel
like the next guy takes maybe like a Julio and doesn't want to let him drop. Something like that. I mean, does he go 2 running backs? I don't know. If not, there's another running back. My next choice would be Chubb. Like pairing Mike Evans with Nick Chubb would be nice, and it'd be nice to do that in our league, but I came out of our draft with Evans and Thomas, so it's not terrible.
Yeah.
But it would have been cool to get a running back there maybe.
Yeah, and you want to know what, though? Doubling up and getting Julio and Mike Evans is a couple of great picks, and if your strat is to want to get a running back, and let's say Chubb was taken, I mean, you got James Conner and Dalvin Cook.
What about Joe Mixon? Was he still available?
Joe Mixon was available on your 11, so you'd be taking that chance that Mike
Evans.
I'd
still want to lock up Mike Evans right there because
I
feel if you went running back right there, you might be forced to do running back again. And not saying it's the worst strategy. It's not even a bad strategy. It's a good strategy. I mean, well, that's not necessarily. That's what literally the experts like preach, that you have to go running back. And this year they want you to open up with 3 running backs out of your first 4 picks. And I have an argument against that, but I mean, we can talk about that maybe next week. We can touch on that because that's in depth right there. But that's why I knocked the wide receiver out right there. I take Mike Evans, and then I would take another receiver, or a running back right there, possibly. And then if there's not any if this guy takes 2 of the running backs that are dominant, then maybe I go another receiver there. It's just I want Mike Evans right there.
Yeah.
What's your take? Are you set on Mike Evans at that pick in Dynasty?
Yeah, well, let's just say it like this. We have a lot of the good wide receivers that are already taken, projected. If any of those guys fall to me, I'm still taking them. You have Odell and Michael Thomas. If those fall, I'm taking that one first. And then as it wraps around back to me, I'm in that same situation where if Mike Evans is there, then I'm taking Mike Evans. But if he's not, I'm taking like a Nick Chubb or a James Conner.
In that situation, I feel like Evans and Nick Chubb would be the best combo if it worked out that way.
Yeah, I think so too. Looking at the guys around him too, I mean, those are the 2 for sures. So you would want to draft Mike Evans first, let the next guy draft Joe Mixon, and then maybe go Melvin Gordon or Todd Gurley or James Conner, and then that drops Nick Chubb right to you. So let's say Nick Chubb is gone. I mean, my next bet would probably just be Julio. Go double wide receiver.
At that point, Julio in Dynasty right there, couple picks in to the second round, second pick in.
Yeah.
Julio's not terrible. You get a couple of years out of him. At that point, you're just going win now. You have a young stud wide receiver in Mike Evans. Your wide receiver 2 is Julio, and you just build your team off that.
Perfect.
And then once again, this is Dynasty that we're talking about. Do we have time to maybe talk about redraft right there, or is it capped out?
Yeah, let's talk about being at the end of the draft for a redraft. And normally so in regular redraft,
the only reason I said that, Tyler, is because redraft season is upon us, and
yes.
I don't want to focus that question on straight Dynasty.
Okay, let's touch on redraft. So you've seen it the most. Just break down what you've seen at the 10 and you have the 10 and 11 on our 10-team league, but at the end of the draft, what do you see?
I am seeing, so the receivers usually gone at that point are definitely Adams, definitely Hopkins. They've never fallen there. Michael Thomas is sometimes there. It's either Michael Thomas or Julio that land there. And at that point, I'm taking Michael Thomas or Julio. And then with the next pick, I'm taking Odell.
Okay.
So I'm going double receiver right there. And worst case scenario, if somehow Thomas and Julio are both gone, I'll be going OBJ and Juju right there.
Yeah.
I'm really high on Juju, and potentially I might go Nick Chubb there, but like I said, I'm a wide receiver guy. This is a perfect opportunity for me to implement my strategy and get my 2 receivers right there and have the 2 high-end elite wide receiver 1s to start my draft, and I love it. So I can't skip that opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking at ADP, the amount of running backs that go in the first round before you even make your picks, it only drops just stud wide receivers in your lap.
That's exactly why I'm like, that spot is where you can do this, is where you can implement this strategy, is RB0.
Yeah.
So
let everyone else
pick
their running backs. And
Yep.
I mean, I'm glad. I'm so glad to see like Le'Veon Bell, Nick Chubb, James Conner, Todd Gurley getting drafted in the first round, because that only means that Michael Thomas, Odell, Julio, they're all getting pushed to you.
Like, they're all gonna fall, and you just take them if they drop to you, take them.
Yeah, or let's say your league is all of a sudden goes wide receiver heavy, like we were just talking about. Then you have either a running back drop in your lap. There's a lot of stud wide receivers still left. I mean, you have Mike Evans and Juju. I mean, they can't take all of the wide receivers, so you just got to stay and look at your tier lists. I mean, there's so much that could be picked there depending on what happens. But what we see normally is a lot of running backs are going early, and it's just going to leave you with 2 wide receivers. And then there's some great running backs later on in the draft to pair with those, that it makes a wide receiver or RB0 strat look the best. Is at the end of the draft.
My mock drafts, I've been going 4 straight receivers, a tight end, and then 6 straight running backs after that. And literally, I look at my team and I freaking love it. Like, I'm drafting 6 straight receivers from round 6 through 11 right there. 6 through 12, whatever. Like, and they're stacked. Like, I got so many potential breakouts. I have 2 guys that are starting every week that I can trust. And then I got 4 guys waiting in the wings to break out if something happens. And I got 4 wide receiver 1s on my starting roster. 3 wide receivers start and a flex. So to me, it just looks amazing, and it's the safest way to build a team as well, because later on you can grab the Alexander Madison, you can grab Justice Hill, you can grab like the heavy handcuffs, and like Alexander Madison, if Dalvin Cook goes down like he has done the past 2 years, is only 2 years in the league, he's gonna be an RB2 for sure.
All right, well,
something simple like that just can change the whole league.
Yeah, and it's a great strat, and we'll have to maybe we'll implement that next episode as well. But we definitely have to end it here. It's kind of a longer podcast due to last week we were missing, and we were probably going to do 2 last week. So we're starting the 2 this week, and we're just going to continue on doing 2, and then we're going to start implementing Saturday, our live feed for the draft. It's just going to be a great upcoming weeks going into the season. So just make sure you're following us. Look at the all of our tags in the bottom show notes, and you'll be able to find us anywhere. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter. We have everything from Spotify to Apple Podcast. Just listen up, leave us a rating, comment, subscribe. You know the whole deal. Just liking our videos. It's going to help us get out there and share. We're going to make sure we comment on a lot of the questions that we answered. We just want people to know that we're here to help them out. And we're kind of giving better, I would say, okay, we're giving different takes from a lot of what the expert consensus is. And I think that we have done this for long enough that we see the errors that pros are, kind of the pros that they talk to them in fantasy leagues are giving to people. And it kind of makes you shake your head. And we want to be here to kind of see through that and get down to the nitty gritty when it comes to fantasy football. So we look forward to it. And we are going to get out of here for today. And we will talk to you again soon.
Can't wait till Saturday.
Oh,
Can't wait.
Let's go. All right. See you later.